this morning, did the Trump administration commit a war crime? President Trump is defending Pentagon Chief Pete Hegseth over questions about deadly U.S. military strikes on alleged drug boats in the Caribbean, specifically an attack on September 2nd. CNN has learned that there were survivors from the initial strike and that a second strike was ordered that killed the remaining crew, bringing the death toll there to 11. A source says that before this operation, Hegseth ordered the military to make sure that everyone on board was killed, though it's not clear whether he knew there were survivors before the second strike. This is how the president framed it overnight.
Number one, I don't know that that happened. And Pete said he did not want them. He didn't even know what people were talking about. So we'll look into it. But no, I wouldn't have wanted that, not a second strike. The first strike was very lethal. It was fine. And if there were two people around, but Pete said that didn't happen.
On Capitol Hill, there is growing bipartisan concern over the reports of those survivors being killed. And now the Republican-led Senate and House Armed Services committees, they're launching investigations. Let's get right to CNN's Betsy Klein live at the White House this morning. So the president commented on, but really more around these allegations. What are you hearing this morning?
Yeah, John, major questions for the White House this morning as to whether they committed a war crime. Our colleague Natasha Bertrand over at the Pentagon reported over the weekend that the U.S. military carried out a second follow-up strike on an alleged drug vessel in the Caribbean on September 2nd after the first strike did not kill everyone on board. Now, sources familiar with the matter say that when the initial strike appeared to disable the boat and kill people, it was assessed that there were survivors. That second attack killed the remaining people on board and sunk the ship. Now, one of the sources says that Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth ordered the military before the operation to ensure that it killed every single person on board, but it is not clear if he knew whether that there were survivors before the second strike took place. Lawmakers on Capitol Hill now say that this may constitute a war crime. Listen.
Obviously, if that occurred, that would be very serious, and I agree that would be an illegal act. This is completely outside of anything that has been discussed with Congress, and there is an ongoing investigation.
If you received that order, would you have carried it out?
No. No, and I'm a guy who I have sunk two ships, but you know, going after survivors in the water, that is clearly not lawful.
Now, President Trump told reporters that Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth told him that he did not order the second strike, and President Trump says that he would not have wanted that. But this comes as the U.S. military has conducted about 20 known strikes on these alleged drug vessels operating in the Caribbean, and the U.S. has also amassed a significant show of force in the region as President Trump weighs his options on Venezuela. There have been roughly 15,000 military personnel, more than a dozen warships, and the president has been briefed on a range of plans. We've also learned that President Trump did speak with Venezuela President Nicolas Maduro. He did not provide details on the substance of that call, John.
Yeah, very important to note, Betsy, that sound you played included both a Democrat and a Republican raising questions about the actions that took place, concerned that if they took place as reported, they were not legal. Betsy Klein at the White House, where clearly this is all developing this morning.
President Trump is backing up Secretary Hegseth's version of events.
He said he did not say that, and I believe him 100%.
You don't know if there was
You're talking about the two men?
The second strike to kill the two men.
No, he said he didn't do it. He said he never said
Would you be okay with that if he did?
He said he didn't do it, so I don't have to make that decision.
Joining me now in the group chat, Sarah Fisher, CNN senior media analyst and senior media reporter at Axios, Francesca Chambers, White House correspondent for USA Today, and Michelle Price, White House reporter for the AP. Michelle, can I start with you? Just there we heard Trump saying that he didn't believe Hegseth, I guess, gave that kind of order, that to leave no survivors. Can you talk about how the White House is trying to respond to this as it becomes a bipartisan backlash?
Right. What's interesting about the president's remarks last night is he said that he wouldn't have agreed with that order if it had been given that way. but he says he believes Secretary Hegseth saying that he didn't give that order. We haven't heard Secretary Hegseth actually say that, though. He has said that the reporting is false, but they have not denied that this actually happened. The White House press office has kind of been echoing what Secretary Hegseth has said, but there's still a lot of questions here about what exactly happened. This was early in these strikes. We know that since this incident, there was another strike where there were survivors, and the administration seems to have handled it differently. There were 2 people who were sent back to another country after they survived. So it seems like there's some kind of maybe course correction here, or different decisions were made at some point. But we had heard before that there were simmering and rising concerns in Congress among Republicans about these strikes.
Yeah.
And now we're just hearing it openly. It seems like they're going to have to answer some
Very
questions
openly.
soon.
I want to play for you guys Don Bacon, Republican from Nebraska. He was asked about this on Sunday.
It is a big concern. Now, Secretary of Defense Hegseth denies it. We should get to the truth. I don't think he would be foolish enough to make this decision to say, kill everybody, kill the survivors, because that's a clear violation of the law of war.
Can I ask you about that?
Well, the reporting was that he had said that before the strike took place in the first place, as I understand it. So when the president is saying that he never said that, he denies having said to do that, that's where I think some of the confusion is coming from in this. With respect to Venezuela itself, you know, the president also, when he was on Air Force One last night, was asked about whether or not he spoke to Maduro, and he said that he did, but he didn't want to give additional details of what took place in that conversation. That's obviously something else that we're going to want to watch very closely, because he had said in the lead up to all this that he was going to speak with him. He also said he was going to close the airspace over Venezuela.
Maduro he was in Caracas. We were reporting
so did something happen in that conversation that would have changed the president's calculus here about whether or not he wants to make land strikes? We don't know yet.
Yeah, Sarah, there's 2 reasons why we're talking about this today, and I think why Americans would care about it is, one, there has been a question about whether or not we are effectively somehow going to war with Venezuela. But 2, you saw Mark Kelly there. Democrats just finished getting in a battle saying, hey, troops, pay attention to unlawful orders, illegal orders. And then you have various Republicans coming out and saying, was this unlawful? Was this illegal? It feels like it sort of undermines what the White House has been saying.
The wording matters a lot here, Audie. When you say we're in a war on drugs, one of the things that Republicans have come out and said is, if this is something that you're going to characterize as a war, that's why we're going to view these as war crimes. So you don't get to have it both ways. And then 2, on the Republicans coming out against this, I've seen in the past few months, there's been so much drama around whether it's been lawful use of the National Guard to go into cities and to sort of temper whatever illegal action they say is happening there. You feel this sense that the military is being used for political purposes, broadly speaking, whether it's here at home or it's internationally. And I think Democrats are seeing that as a key issue ahead of the midterms next year. It plays into this issue that was a winning one for them around preserving democracy. And so I think that they're going to continue to hone in on that. Republicans, of course, hate that narrative. But the fact that you have so many coming out and saying that this could be a potential war crime means that they don't want to be on the wrong side of history.
Yeah, I was seeing one more thing I want to show you guys. The National Review, you had commentator Andrew McCarthy saying, if this happened as described in the Post report, it was at best a war crime under federal law. It's a serious matter. The administration's defense cannot be, we killed them because our plan is to use lethal force. The way people are talking about this doesn't feel like you could kind of meme your way out of it.
Yeah, and the Secretary of Defense last night was posting a mock-up of a children's book of a character gleefully killing what he called narco-terrorists. So he seemed to be, you know, embracing this as kind of a joke that there was any kind of backlash. There did not seem to be any kind of reflection or commentary that they were taking it seriously when you're posting images and memes like this.
And I'll be interested to see what other Republicans talk this week if this investigation actually goes any further.